This is example 3 from lesson R.5. All right, to start off solving this equation, we can distribute the 10 into the parentheses, but I think I want to start off by dividing both sides by 10. This is going to keep my numbers pretty small, and it's going to make it a little bit easier to deal with down the road there. And since this 10 is actually being multiplied by the parentheses, it is okay to go ahead and divide it over to the other side. Now what's going to happen over here, the 10s will cancel. It's just going to leave me with the parentheses there, 3x squared minus 13x, and then on the other side, 10 goes into negative 40, negative 4 times. Okay, this is a quadratic equation, and I know that because my highest exponent is 2. And if I want to solve a quadratic equation, it needs to be equal to 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this 4 over here to this side. There are no like terms over here, so we're just going to have the trinomial 3x squared minus 13x plus 4, and then this is going to be equal to 0. Okay, and now I'm going to have to use my factoring skills that we did back in lesson R.3. And since my leading term here has a 3 on it, I'm actually going to be multiplying 3 times 4 here. That's going to give me 12. So I'm looking for things that will multiply and give me 12. That will also add together and give me negative 13. And that's going to be negative 12 and negative 1. Because negative 12 times negative 1 is positive 12, and negative 12 plus negative 1 is negative 13x. All right, and then remember the next thing I want to do is rewrite this problem. But I'm going to take out the middle term 13x, and I'm going to replace it with these factors, negative 12 and negative 1. This is going to give me 3x squared minus 12x minus x plus 4 is equal to 0. All right, and now I'm going to group them together, and I am going to factor by grouping. So we'll group the first two together. We'll group the last two together right here. Let's see. The greatest common factor between 3 and 12 is 3, and both of them have an x. Okay, so 3 goes into 3 one time, x goes into x squared x times, 3 goes into 12 4 times, and don't forget that negative in there, and then these x's will cancel. All right, over here, remember since that's negative, we are going to factor out the negative. And the greatest common factor between 1 and 4 is just 1. And then both of these don't have an x, so that's going to be all I can bring out. Okay, so negative 1 divided into negative 1x is going to leave me with a positive x, and negative 1 divided into positive 4 is going to leave me with a negative 4. And now I'm going to factor out the greatest common factor one more time. Now remember, the key to this is at this stage, my parentheses here should look exactly the same, and they do. So when I factor out the greatest common factor this time, it's going to be the parentheses, which is x minus 4. And then I'm going to have a second set of parentheses, which is going to have the coefficients in there. So when this is gone, I'm left with a 3x. And when this is gone, I'm left with the negative 1. All right, that brings us here. So now the problem is factored. Now we're going to use our zero product property, which said that if we're multiplying two things together and the product is 0, then one of them has to be 0. So I'm going to use the fact that maybe x minus 4 is going to be the one that's actually equal to 0, or maybe it's the other parentheses, 3x minus 1, that's going to be equal to 0. And then we'll solve these equations. So we'll add 4 on both sides here. So x might be positive 4. We can add 1 over here. That means 3x is going to be equal to positive 1. And then when we divide by 3, x could be 1/3. So it looks like my two solutions, y'all, x could be 4 or x could be 1/3.